Hey there, hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuk with Queen Bee Creations. Thanks for joining me today. We have this lightweight wood tray that I thrifted. I paid $3 less, it would have been my 30%, so $3.69, so $2.10. You cannot beat that. So the nice thing about doing that is when you get something like this and it's so inexpensive, do whatever you'd like to it. Try a new technique, play with it. The worst case scenario is that it doesn't work out, you don't like it, and it only costs you $2.10. Best case scenario, you absolutely love it. You keep it, you use it, and you now have whatever the new technique is that you were trying that you could use on bigger, more expensive items. So what we're gonna do, we are going to start by painting the edging inside and out in this leftover paint. So it's like a blue and a green and a cream mix because I just had little dregs of all kinds of things. And it has a little bit of top coat mixed in there too because it was getting too thick rather than adding water because these were all in one paint. I didn't want to, if you add too much water to an all-in-one paint, you diminish the ability of it to be able to self-seal, and then you have to seal it again. So if you're looking to loosen it up or thin it out, adding a top coat to it maintains kind of the integrity of it being an all-in-one. So I'm gonna get the edging and everything painted out in this color. I'm gonna get the inside bottom painted in white encasement. So 2 coats of everything, letting it dry thoroughly, and then we can get back together to carry on. But basic painting, you know how that's done. This is our little tray all painted up. Now, the only reason that I did white was I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to be sticking into the bottom of this. But what I did find in my back stash, I buy a lot of frames that I buy to insert my artwork into. And I ditched the little fake print that was in there. This one I liked, I kept it. I like the simplicity of it. So I've cut it down to generally the size. I would like to say it's a perfect fit, but no. And so what I'm going to do, now that I put it in there, get it out, I am going to start by adding my decoupage medium. So for this one, I am using liquid patina by DIY. So I want to have, this is a fairly heavy stock paper. It's not, a simple little napkin or decoupage paper, tissue paper. It's like a cardstock. So I want to have a fair amount of the decoupage medium down there. You could just use a really good glue to do this as well. That's in essence what we're doing, is gluing this down. So for a thicker paper like this, you could just do a nice tacky glue as well to make it work. And I just want to get it a little bit centered here. There we go. And then I'm going to just take like a little squeegee tool and kind of just go around the edges of this. Now I'm going to want to leave this overnight to dry fully, and I want to make sure that all those edges are pressed down really well. Make sure that it's all adhered along those edges. I'm seeing a bit of lifting on this edge. Okay, that's better. knocking things over today like crazy. I don't know why. So I am going to want to get this. I mean, it's just cute as it is, but I am going to have to seal it up. I just want to get this all completely dry to begin with. Make sure that that's really adhered down there well. So I'm actually going to just stack some books in there and weight it down for the night so that I make sure that all of that is in touch with it. If tomorrow I think that maybe it's not, I can cover this with parchment paper and iron it to be able to reactivate the glue and glue it back down. But this is a hard enough paper that we're not getting lifting, but like wrinkling, but I want to make sure that we don't have any air bubbles trapped underneath there. So I am going to weight it, leave it overnight to dry, and then we'll take a look at what we need to do to seal it up and keep it safe. Our butterfly has had overnight to dry and it is laying flat. Now I got to tell you, when I did this yesterday, I didn't like it. It kind of bubbled, but then it was fine. But I kind of looked at it like maybe it was too simple. I had another idea in my head that I didn't do, and then I was thinking, oh, I would have liked that better. Why didn't I do that? Which I'll do on another project. When I came in this morning, I thought, I love the simplicity of that. That's perfect. Sometimes you just have to sleep on these things. Now, here's where things may go wrong. And this is where I lose some of you guys. I do get people that watch some of my videos and they say, why didn't you practice one first? Why didn't you perfect it before you showed us? And the answer is kind of a little bit involved, meaning there's a couple of reasons for it. One, I'm doing these projects primarily for me. This is me trialing things to potentially sell in my shop. I'm taking you along for the journey. Not all of them are going to work. I didn't go out and buy 12 of these to be able to practice on them all so that I could show you exactly the right way to do it and make myself look good. I'm hopefully showing you that it's okay to play. It's okay to do things for the first time. I have to. And if I mess up, which I do, if my idea was not great, which it often isn't, then I'm learning and you're learning from my mistakes. You don't have to make those mistakes. But I'm hoping more than anything, what it does in showing you some of my thought process is it gets you thinking along those lines. It gets you thinking of things. When you see an old tray that you come up with all these different thoughts and ideas and think, maybe I could make them happen. And you're willing to give it a shot. So I get that maybe I'm not as popular as some people that only show you the perfect things, but I'm hoping that those of you that stick around with me, it opens you to trialing more things. And some of these things that I do, it's one and done. I don't make 12 of them. I make one. When it sells in the shop, it's done. I've moved on to other things. I don't have the luxury, because I'm doing videos each week, of going back and doing the same thing over and over again. It's not what I'm about. It's not what my channel's about. And hopefully that serves you. All that's a big lead in to say this next step, I don't have a clue how it's going to work. Now I need to seal this. I figured, and I got out my decoupage medium, and I thought I could just do a lot of coats of my top coat. So because this is paper and it's unsealed, start with a light coat and then do multiple coats of your sealer. So you could do tons of coats of top coat to be able to make this a little bit more waterproof, a little bit more hardy if you're using this in a tray with drinks and they're, you know, dripping water on them and things like that. So I could do that. You've probably guessed by now that's not what I'm gonna do. But because this is heavier paper than tissue paper, and it's a little bit glossy already, I thought, what if I did a resin epoxy on it? That would maybe be cool. That would definitely be water safe. So I have my parts A and B. So this could go terribly wrong. And what I'm thinking in terms of terribly wrong is that it could be too liquid. It causes my paper to ripple and buckle, which means this would become garbage. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Because you know what? It gives me an idea of what not to try again. And it leads me into other directions. So you know the drill on this. It's a 2-part epoxy, equal parts. I kind of measured them out in a clear glass so that I could see of the A and B. Now, I just bought a brand off Amazon. I had no clue whether it was a good one or a bad one. I think that they're all pretty decent out there, quite honestly. So, you know, as much as I don't even know if I can get this on, it's Epo Artist. I'm not sure if I can get it on Amazon again. If I can, I'll drop a link for you. But really what I'm saying is don't agonize over it, buy what you can. And, you know, most of them are pretty decent, kind. This is not the fast dry kind. This kind sits overnight. It does go crystal clear, but you do have to stir them really well to make sure that it's all blended. Right now I can still see, if I look at it, small little swirls. You saw that one was a little bit more yellow, one was a little bit more clear. We need to keep stirring until it looks completely unified. So I'm going to keep stirring, and I'll bring you back when I'm done stirring. This could take 3 to 5 minutes maybe. I've got you overhead so that you can see a little bit. This is my mixture, and I'm just going to start kind of pouring it. Now there's lots of little bubbles in it. I'm not worrying about them yet. And I'm not sure how flat my tabletop is. I think this should be enough. Let me just get it all out because I don't need a super deep coat. I'm not making molded coasters or trays or plates or anything. And I have a little baby squeegee, and I'm just going to use that to kind of gently push and move it out to my edges so that all of my paper is encased. And once I have this, what I will do is find a place to set it that is fairly level so that ultimately it doesn't all shift and pool into one corner, and I come back tomorrow and it's all uneven. So I am going to go looking for a level just to see if I have one. If not, then I'm just going to be eyeballing it. And sometimes that's life too. Okay, so here's the plan. I'm just going to get this all out to all of the corners. Make sure it's all covered. I am going to take, whoa, and I just turned it on. I am going to take the heat gun to it. So when you're using these epoxy resins and you're stirring them, you're going to get little bubbles, little air bubbles in there. There's no way to avoid that. Okay, I'll probably just put that somewhere to dry. Oh, no, I can see I missed getting to an edge. The edges are important for this one, just so that all of the edging of that paper is encased. It didn't go right evenly to the edges of my tray. I didn't cut it perfect, And that's why I thought maybe this method would work, because it's going to totally encase that paper so that I don't have to worry about seepage underneath. It's going to all be nicely and completely sealed. All right, I'm not seeing, oh, there's one. All right, and that's where this tool is great, because it just helps me push to those edges. And then I'm just going to lightly take my heat gun and I'm just gonna heat over the top. What it will do is help the air bubbles rise to the surface and pop. And then I'm gonna go set this someplace level to dry overnight. And then we'll take a look at how it finishes up. Our tray has had overnight to dry and it worked great. So we've got that nice, bright, shiny base. The paper didn't ripple or lift. Now, granted, this was a sturdier paper than a normal tissue paper or something, so I can't attest to that, but pushing it out to the edges meant all of the edges are well sealed. The only difference with this is that resin really highlights any imperfections. So as much as I didn't see any scratches on my picture beforehand, I see them now. So there's a couple of spots where the picture is less than perfect that I didn't really see. But I think that I maybe put those in when I was flattening it out. I think that those were just maybe like some little wrinkle spots that I sort of flattened and never thought twice about, because normally when I'm decoupaging, I don't have to. This magnifies everything. I don't mind, right? And obviously if somebody is buying it live in the shop, then they don't mind. If they do mind, then they shouldn't buy it. If I'm selling this online, however, you know what? I probably just wouldn't. So this may be something that I would list on the shop, only because then I can sell it in store, but I will take close-ups of those fold marks or whatever they happen to be. But as an experiment, this worked awesome, and it opens up a whole new avenue for me of tray ideas. So, so I may have to get a couple new big jugs of my resin so that I can play with this a little bit more, because now my head is whirling with other things that I could do. Yep, got lots more ideas. I hope this gives you some, and I hope this inspires you to give it a try. For this tray, which, how big is this? I think it's about 14 inches on the inside. Yeah, about 14 and a half inches square. I did 8 ounces, and I had more than enough thickness to get a good coating from edge to edge without any issues, but without it being super thick. So I had more than enough for this depth. Now, obviously, if I was putting in anything that had a raised texture, I may have to do a second pour, but that's okay. I would probably rather go with a more shallow pour, anchoring everything down, and then seeing how much more I had to do, rather than doing way more than I need and having extra thickness. Of course, always have some things on the side, some little molds, so that if you make too much, rather than just saying, oh my goodness, now, you know, this is half an inch thick, you can just fill your molds instead and use them on future projects. If you followed me, you've seen me do that when I've been doing resin coasters or something. I always have some of my molds off to the side, especially some of the Christmas ones, or ones that have more delicate. I know there's an IOD one with a deer head with the antlers, way too delicate for the clay. So, and there's only one on the mold. So every time I make up some resin and I have some extra, I pour a deer head so that I have a bunch of them made up when Christmas comes around, because I love the little deer head. It's awesome on little wood rounds and things. Let me know what you think of this one. Kind of a simple technique overall, but really it's about experimenting with how that paper was going to work with that resin coating and making it now very, water safe for carrying drinks, using out in the backyard and patio. And maybe that's where this one's going to go, is out on my patio. That's where a lot of things end up. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks as always for tuning in. Until then, take care.